Is the Titan Fitness Safety Squat Bar actually as good as the highly regarded SS Yoke Bar from Elitefts? It gets good reviews, so where does it shine in comparison? And just as importantly, where does it fall short? Well, today we're going to be taking a look at all of that as we kick off the first ever episode of Gear Wars, an in-depth head-to-head matchup of some of today's most popular strength equipment. So, Titan or Elite? This video will help you decide which one might be best for you. More on that coming up. Hey, what's up friends? I'm glad you're here because today is yet another perfect day to talk about gym equipment. Hey guys, my name is Adam with Garage Gym Lab, and if you're new here, this channel is all about testing and reviewing gym equipment, building the home gym community, and providing inspiration to anybody out there who's looking to build their dream gym. So if that's something you're into, I definitely encourage you to subscribe. That way you can stay up to date with all the weekly content. So the Safety Squat Bar is far and away my favorite specialty bar. It's versatile, it's comfortable, and it's very effective at building strength. Over the years, there's been a number of Safety Squat Bars introduced to the market, but the gap between a quality Safety Squat Bar and a crappy Safety Squat Bar is pretty wide. And up until recently, there's really only been a few that I would put at the top. Now, I'm just referring to traditional Safety Squat Bars. I'm not talking about things like the Kabuki Transformer Bar or anything like that. But when I think of a quality Safety Squat Bar, I'm thinking of things like the Krepensek, which is arguably the best traditional Safety Squat Bar in terms of balance. This Elitefts SS Yoke Bar, which is perhaps the best all-around Safety Squat Bar. And then to a lesser extent, some from some of the smaller manufacturers like Edge Fitness and like Black Widow. The reason why the gap is so large is because so much depends on the geometry of this bar in particular. And of course, things like build quality, materials, and things like that. But when I'm looking at a Safety Squat Bar, the things that are most important to me are first and foremost, camber angle. If you don't have the right camber and you don't have the right angle, you're not gonna get a well-balanced bar, and you're not gonna get that same load placement that makes the SSB what it is. I look at the pad and the yoke. Is it comfortable? Is it durable? Does the yoke provide the proper width? I look at the handles. I prefer a short handle myself, which is a very subjective thing. But again, is it comfortable? Is it easy to grip, etc.? If there was ever an example of a Safety Squat Bar not to buy, it was the first version of the Titan Fitness Safety Squat Bar. It had a camber angle that was way off. The pad was more or less garbage. The yoke was far too wide, and it had a lot of whip to it. Now, in the past, it's been pretty easy to pick on Titan Fitness. Their quality has been questionable. Their customer service has been hit or miss, and they have a reputation of being a copycat company in the industry. And while they do still emulate other products from other companies, a topic for another day, their quality has improved considerably over the years. And from what I hear from most people, their customer service has improved quite a bit as well. Now, if there is one product in the Titan catalog that has seen the most improvement, it just may be the Safety Squat Bar, and that's largely because it is a near clone of the SS Yoke Bar. I say near clone because there are some differences here, some of which are intentional and others probably not. Some that I would consider an improvement over the Elite Bar and others quite the opposite. So with that background out of the way, let's get this match underway. Elite on your left, Titan on your right, fight! All right guys, let's kick this thing off with price. Now, to nobody's surprise, Titan is going to be much less expensive here. This bar ships for $230, whereas the Elite Bar is $425 before shipping. So shipping to my house in South Carolina is $66. So at the end of the day, you're gonna be looking in the $475 to $500 range. Now, Elite does put this bar on sale on occasion. You can get it for a face rate of around $375, but when it comes down to it, they're never gonna touch Titan in terms of price. So here we have a clear winner, Titan Fitness. Next up, we have camber and angle. The Elite Bar is widely considered to have some of the best balance of any Safety Squat Bar on the market. It's more or less a benchmark, yet one that few bars end up hitting. I would say the Titan version has actually done a great job of copying that, probably the best that I've seen of this style. They practically nailed the angle, so I give that a push. But the big difference is that this has a camber drop of 5 inches, whereas the Elite Bar has a camber drop of 6 inches. And because the Elite Bar is really a case study for SSBs, and because Titan didn't hit that same depth, I'm gonna give the victory here to Elite FTS. Next up, we have the pad and the yoke. Now, this is another area where Elite FTS really excels. This pad is thick, it's comfortable, it has what looks to be a pool noodle-like material that surrounds the shaft, and then on top of that, what looks to be like a thick carpet pad. The vinyl itself is noticeably high quality, it's grippy, it's got some suppleness to it, all around very, very nice yoke design as well as the pad. You can look at the Titan bar and tell that they tried to imitate this to a T, but it falls short in two meaningful ways. The first, and what I would consider to be the most important, is the diameter of the whole thing. What you might not be able to tell just from looking at these two bars, the Titan has a slightly thicker upper pad by about 3/4 of an inch, which might not seem like a lot, but it really is relative to the Elite bar, because what this does is it pushes the load a little further back from the body, which then in turn creates a bar that doesn't feel quite as balanced. Now, is it egregious? I don't necessarily think so. I felt it more when I'm doing things like a Hatfield squat, where you're not using your hands and you're really relying on the balance of the bar, but it is definitely a distinction worth noting. The second reason is that it actually pushes the pad a little bit higher up on the neck. More pressure higher on the neck is not a recipe for comfort, and that's probably been the biggest thing that I can tell in terms of differences on these two pads. That takes me to the rest of the pad. Unlike the Elite bar, which is using the combination of the pool noodle with the carpet pad, the Titan bar is actually using the carpet pad around the whole thing. You would think that this would create an even softer and more comfortable experience, but it really doesn't, because the pad here is noticeably firmer on the whole. And when you couple that with it sitting a little bit higher up on the neck, again, in my opinion, this is the downside. The vinyl is not as high of quality in my opinion. It's not as grippy, it's not as soft, and at the end of the day, it's just not as nice. So for me, pad and the yoke, clear winner here is Elite FTS. Next up, we have the handles, which are virtually identical. Each of these uses a contoured grip with individual finger slots, which is something that I really appreciate, because not only is it comfortable, but also it gives you instant feedback, letting you know exactly where your hands are without having to look down. Each of these grips is around the same length, and they're both threaded so that you can remove these if you want. One thing you'll notice is the Titan version actually has a slightly longer thread, which I suppose technically makes it a more secure handle. Although when you're actually using the bar, you're not twisting the handles in and out, so it's probably not that big of a deal, but it is something to note at the end of the day. Where I do think Titan edges out Elite here is with the actual contours themselves. These are a little bit more pronounced, a little bit steeper, whereas the Elite is a little bit softer, a little bit more low profile. I prefer the harder edge on the Titan, just gives you a little bit more of that tactile feedback. So I'm gonna give them the overall edge on the handles, but it's really close. Last up, guys, we have the sleeves. The biggest and most noticeable drawback to the Elite bar is the clear coat sleeves. This is a well-documented and often complained about issue where the clear coat literally flakes off the bar, leaving behind an unsightly, ugly, scarred up sleeve. The severity of that is largely going to depend on what type of plates you're using. If you're using standard iron plates, for instance, that's going to scratch faster and worse than something like a competition bumper plate. I tend to use tighter tolerance bumpers, so my sleeves look a little bit better than some of the others that I've seen, but there are absolutely still some cosmetic consequences of the clear coat no matter what plates you use. The Titan bar, on the other hand, actually uses a chrome sleeve, which is something that I really like. And while it's not the best chrome that I've ever seen, it's probably going to oxidize over time, it definitely looks better, in my opinion, than the clear coat on the Elite FTS bar. Perhaps the biggest advantage of these sleeves is the fact that they're actually Olympic sized. Many specialty bars, the Elite FTS bar included, have an outside diameter of 1.9 inches compared to the 1.96 inch diameter on a traditional bar or this Titan bar. This requires you to actually invest in a separate pair of collars that fit that, or at the very least, collars that, like this, these are Proloc collars, these are my favorite collars, will fit on any bar. These are very easy to use, they're very secure, they're not that expensive. I'll put a link in the description down below, but if you only own bars that have a 1.96 inch diameter, then you can at least still use your collars that you already have on this bar, whereas on this bar, you may have to invest in a separate pair. So when you consider the finish and when you consider the size of the sleeves, Titan, in my opinion, is the clear winner in the sleeve department. Now, if you're just looking at the points, Titan is actually winning this race 3-2, but I do think it's important to state that the 2 points associated with Elite FTS really represent, in my opinion at least, the most important features of a safety squat bar, and that is the camber angle and the padding, both of which contribute to the overall balance of the bar, which I didn't include as its own section, just given the fact that it felt a little bit redundant. At the end of the day, I do think that the Elite FTS bar is the superior bar. What this bar makes up for in price, sleeves, and a marginal difference in handles, it really lacks in overall comfort and balance. That said, guys, the Titan bar is a very legitimate bar. If you're somebody who's shopping a little bit more on a budget, if you like that sleeve advantage, and if you like this general style of safety squat bar, then you can be confident in buying this one from Titan Fitness. If, however, you have a little bit of a bigger budget, you like the more comfortable pad, you like the idea of it being a little bit of a better balance, and you don't mind some aesthetic sleeve scarring, then I would personally recommend the Elite FTS SS Yoke Bar. So having seen and heard all this, guys, which bar would you pick? Would you go with the SS Yoke Bar from Elite FTS, or would you go with the Safety Squat Bar V2 from Titan Fitness? I'm sure some of you guys have one of two of these bars anyway, so I'd be curious on your general thoughts as well. So let me know in the comment section below. Also, I'd be curious to know if you guys have any ideas for future Gear Wars episodes. Let me know also in the comment section below. As always, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Until then, be well, and we'll chat soon.